Welcome back to Eddie's Launchpads, the Dogsthorpe Infant School podcast for parents, carers, teachers and schools. Dogsthorpe Infant School is part of Hampton Academies Trust. We want every child to dream, believe and shine.
OK, Eddie, start the countdown.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Let's go.
This podcast is brought to you by Eddie Edster.
Wow, welcome back to Eddie's Launchpads. It's the Dogsthorpe Infant School podcast for parents, teachers and schools. It's wonderful to be back. We've had a bit of a break. It was last July when we produced our last podcast. And so it's great to be back with you right now because we've got some great guests lined up. We'll be talking about that in just a little while. But it's wonderful to be back on the airwaves again with this school podcast. Nearly 150 episodes have been produced over the last 3.5 years or so. We started just after the pandemic, and we wanted to get in touch with our parents and carers at the school, and then we started off from that as our launch pad, and it's built and built and built, and we've had hundreds of guests over the years, and it's wonderful that we're starting season 6. Now, when we start a new season, we always have on one particular guest. Everybody knows her. All you parents and carers know her because she's outside of school every morning. And sometimes she has a little dog with her. Yes, of course, it's our head teacher, Mrs. Waters. Welcome to Eddie's Launchpads.
Hi there, everybody. Thanks for having me back on. And can I just say, it's absolutely amazing that we are relaunching Eddie's Launchpads. He's just arrived as I'm being interviewed to come and check that I'm doing a good job. It's just amazing that we can reach out, not just to our parents, carers and families, but to other schools and across the world. It's just amazing. So thank you, Captain Dave and Eddie, for relaunching, coming out of retirement.
Eddie's always here. He's always nudging me saying we should be doing more. And thanks to you, Mrs. Waters, and to Eddie, we're back with season 6 and I'm chomping at the bit to get going. We've got some wonderful guests lined up. Sometimes they'll be trainers, sometimes they'll be experts in the field of education or with schools or working with children or working in schools doing things like plays and all sorts of things. So we've got lots of different guests, but there is one particular theme running through this season 6, and we've got lots of authors that are coming on. Now, Mrs. Waters, how important is reading at Dogsthorpe Infant School?
Well, hopefully our parents, carers know that reading is just so vital to us at Dogsthorpe Infants. If you can't read, your world is narrowed. If you think of all the things that we have to read, whether that's forms to fill in, whether that's just books for leisure, magazines, newspapers. Yes, we can hear a lot, of course we can. But even many programmes and films, there's text on it that you need to be able to read. So last year, our absolute focus was phonics, because if we've got our phonics sorted, that helps our reading. Our reading feeds into our writing. And hey presto, we can do all those basic skills to get us through life. So reading is super important. I know Miss Colbeck, as our reading lead, will be listening to this, saying yes, make sure that I really fly the flag for reading. And that's children reading, but also adults reading to children. It's just so important.
You mentioned about phonics, and that's very, very important because we've had, you use Monster Phonics at Dogsthorpe Infants, don't you? And they've been guests on our show, and they explained how it worked. And at the time I thought, is this the sort of thing that will go down well at Dogsthorpe Infants? And it's really made a difference, hasn't it?
Phonics data was just incredible last year in the phonics screening that the Year 1 children have to complete, as all Year 1 children across the country do. Monster Phonics has had such an impact. The monsters are very fun, they're colourful, they're engaging, and the lessons are there to support the teachers, the resources are there, and we beaver away, and phonics is happening quite a lot during the day, not just the lesson, but all the interventions that our amazing support staff lead. And again, big shout out to Miss Colbeck on that, because she organises and keeps us going with phonics and makes sure that we do exactly what we need to do. And the phonics improves reading.
This year's book day was particularly fun to do, because I could see the excitement in children's faces as they came in dressed as their favourite Monster Phonics.
Yes, that's right. So we decided to do a bit different to the dressing up that usually perhaps happens on World Book Day, and we decided to celebrate our monsters. So we had Cool Blue, we had Black Cat, we had Brown Owl, we had a lot of Miss Ong Nose dressed in their pink, and we had quite a lot of Angry Red A's as well.
Well, it was great. It's great to see them on there. If you've not yet had a look at the photographs, all of our photographs are on the website, dogsthorpeinfants.org. Go and have a look at our website, and you'll see some of the things that we're talking about on the podcast, as well, of course, downloading every single episode. So if there's a particular thing that takes your fancy, have a look down through the menu, and I'm sure there's going to be a guest there. You think, oh, I'd like to hear what they're saying. So have a look through our past episodes, and I'm sure you do very well. Now, yes, it is important about reading, isn't it? Because it's whether you get something new, whether that's a new washing machine or whether that's a new TV, and they always give you the instructions, and yes, there are a few pictures, but there are some very important things to read, particularly if you've got a car, for example. All those things. As adults, we take reading for granted, and the first steps all begin at those early years at school, don't they?
One thing that I really want to emphasise is, yes, it takes time for our children to learn to read. Of course it does. It's a really complex skill to learn. But parents, carers, family members, big sisters, big brothers, please read to the children. Just because they can't read their book, it doesn't mean that you can't read to them. Reading familiar stories over and over, the stories that you had when you were little, dust them down, get them down from the attic, read them, celebrate those books with them. And of course, all the familiar favourites now by authors, hopefully that we'll hear from during this podcast season. And just read, enjoy, absorb yourself in the text, and do silly voices for the different characters. Get the children to do the voices, get them predicting what's going to happen next. And of course, halfway through, you need to have that moment of closing the book and saying, oh, should we wait until tomorrow? Get them excited to want to know what happens next. And I think, there are so many amazing ways of children accessing stories online, and we haven't got an issue with that at all. We use them ourselves in school. Of course, it's really good that children hear different voices, often authors reading their own stories. I know that you can ask that famous Alexa or other similar systems to read your child a bedtime story, and those things are fine. But please, my plea to everybody is, don't let that become the only time your children hear stories. A good balance is what we need. Some online, some with adults, some where children are reading to you. Get absorbed in books. And of course, our wonderful Dogsthorpe library is open on a regular basis. Become members. All those books at your fingertips for free. We know things cost money. Why spend money on books when you can go and borrow quite a few at a time, look after them, of course, and return them, but just explore the books that are around us.
Now, I'm very, very old, listeners. I often mention this on the podcast. I'm very, very old. When I was a boy, the Romans were still about. But The most important thing that I remember as a very young boy was getting home after I'd been at school, turning on the TV and watching something like Jack and Ori, because those people who read those stories, they made them come alive and they put in all the little characters' voices, and it was off of the page and it was very, very enjoyable. But I also remember going to my school library and getting a book and reading it and discovering that actually sometimes reading the book is different. For example, some of the Disney stories are different in the film as they are in the book. And I know for older children, because this podcast is not just for infants, it's for Key Stage 2 and for Key Stage 3 even. There's lots of schools that listen to this, and even with something like Harry Potter, for example. The Harry Potter films are very, very exciting, but they're not like the books, are they? The books are different.
Not at all. Obviously, a film can only cover so much and a programme can only cover so much, but just picking up a book and imagining the different places yourself and creating those characters in your head, just... there's nothing like it, is there?
No, there's not. And the voices of the characters are somewhat different. I was the same when I got to secondary school. I got into Sherlock Holmes. I started to read the Sherlock Holmes books, and they were nothing like the films. The book seems to open up, and you start painting pictures in your head, don't you?
Books can just help our children develop.
And you've got the Book Nook in school, which is another exciting place for children to sit and read. I was in school not that long ago and looking around, and I thought, how lucky are our children to be able to go in and sit there and grab a book and just sit and read on a beanbag or something, and just sit there and enjoy some wonderful stories. We're going to have on different people on the show that are going to be talking about different books, not just storybooks.
No, absolutely. We've got some poets lined up, and some authors that are writing in a more non-fiction way, because of course not only have we got our Book Nook, we've also got our Learning Lab, which parents carers, you probably don't see, it's hidden well, but where our teachers go and borrow non-fiction texts to support our topics, so that there really is something for everybody. We know many children love to read stories, but we want to instill a love of non-fiction and poetry as well. So hopefully the authors that we've found through our use of social media will be able to come and engage us in many different genres.
Now, it's worth pointing out, listeners, that Mrs. Waters has just started her 10th year at Dogsthorpe Infants. Is that correct?
No, I will now be starting my 11th year.
11th, there you are.
I've been head teacher, so I've been at the school a very long time. We won't go there, but certainly I'm very proud to say that I've just finished my 10th year as head teacher. And obviously, don't look at any older than I did all those years ago.
No, I don't. I think that's fair to say. It's not just about silly rhymes. Not that rhymes are silly, but we learn nursery rhymes that can be quite silly. But also poems are great for creative writing, aren't they?
And children often can read a poem much easier than a book. Obviously, it's shorter, and there are so many amazing poets out there that we sometimes forget about, and poetry sometimes can get kind of missed out of the curriculum, sadly, just the way it is. So being able to read poems to the children, get them to choose poetry books instead of a storybook for a change, just develops their and widens their reading opportunities.
As you start your 11th year, apologies for getting it wrong, but as you start your 11th year, I'm guessing that as this summer term progresses, you'll be thinking about the autumn term, and chances are there are parents who have got children coming to Dogsthorpe Infants who may very well stumble over this podcast. Have you got a quick message for the people, the children who are coming to Dogsthorpe Infants in September, and the parents and carers who are bringing them?
Absolutely. I mean, I can't believe we're heading towards September and another new intake for our school. It's always a busy time in an exciting time. So parents, carers, if you've had children at our school before, then welcome back. If you're going to be a new family to us, then welcome to Dogsthorpe Infants. And we can't wait to meet you all. We can't wait to meet your little stars and help you all to dream, believe and shine.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's a special for you parents and carers who are accepting places at Dogsthorpe Infants. There's a button on the homepage on the website that they need to hit.
That's correct. Obviously, you've had your information. You need to accept the place, of course, if you want to come to Dogsthorpe Infants. So you can do that, as Captain Dave said, via the website, or we are open again on Wednesday, the 23rd of April. You can give us a ring. All I'd ask is perhaps leave it to about 9:30 because the start of the school day is super busy on any day, but particularly after a holiday. So please bear with us and we will obviously speak to you, take the information we need and start getting to know you as the weeks unfold over the summer term.
Well, thank you for joining us today, Mrs. Waters. It's been wonderful that you've launched another season of Eddie's Launch Pads. Eddie's getting very, very excited because he's going to meet brand new friends and we're all chomping at the bit to get going on this. And so we'll be back very, very soon, listeners, with another guest who's going to be waiting on the launch pad to talk about something exciting that they're bringing and they want you to share. So every journey begins with those first steps. And as our new children begin the first steps, rest assured that we are here to help them dream, believe and shine.
You have been listening to the Dogsthorpe Infant School podcast. Join Captain Dave and his co-pilot Eddie Edster, the well-being dog, on another launch pad soon. Until then, always remember to be kind, be respectful, and most of all, dream, believe, and shine. Dogsthorpe Infant School is part of Hampton Academies Trust.